The Rock has finally addressed a potential match with Roman Reigns in an interview this weekend. Will we see the Great One go one-on-one against the Tribal Chief? Plus, we got news on Tony Khan talking about the recent massive WWE release that went down on Friday, and if he's going to take on some of those superstars in AEW, and one WCW legend, Konnan, Que Viva la Raza, says that Roman Reigns is more influential than CM Punk. Is that what you guys think? We're going to talk all about it today in the top story. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! What's up, Sportskeeda wrestling fans? Thank you for joining us. It is the Monday evening edition of the Top Story. I'm your host, Jose G. Next to me is Jeremy Bennett, my partner in crime every afternoon here on the Top Story. We got lots to talk about, man, because not only we had those big releases on Friday, but The Rock is all over the place on Monday afternoon. What's up, Jeremy?
Yeah, The Rock, all sorts of Rocky news here today. First off, The Rock did have an interview here recently with comicbook.com and says that he is open to have another match if it makes sense. He said, quote, "I don't know if I will have another title run considering I'm the people's champion. I don't know if it is another title run, but I think possibly there might be another match down the road. It would make sense, and it would seem that it would be Roman. I'm very close with Roman, obviously, and we talk about this all the time. I continue to encourage him to keep doing his thing and sharpening those skills. I think he's doing a great job with his promo, his execution, his in-ring work. It all continues to improve and grow. That's always the best part. I think I think about that world of professional wrestling is that when someone gets anointed and given the ball to run, they either score a touchdown with it or they don't. Of course, then there came news earlier this morning where The Rock sat down with Andrew Friend of Dish Nation and basically said there is no truth to the rumors that he'll face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So after all of that, he then dispels that they're not gonna wrestle at WrestleMania. So I don't know. Is he throwing a red herring here? I don't know what The Rock is doing here.
I don't know. We got two conflicting things, right? He says, yeah, he if the possibility is there, if it makes sense, he'll do it.
Yeah.
But what we can say for now, right, is that for WrestleMania 38 in Dallas, it is a no-go. More than likely, it'll probably be 39 in Hollywood, which absolutely makes sense to me.
Yeah. And, obviously they said at this time, that I think he's going to be in Australia or something, right? The Rock at the time.
Yeah, he's going to be in Australia. He is filming Young Rock season 2 out there. So
yeah.
There's going to be, he is consumed. He is the busiest man in Hollywood right now.
There you go. Right here. Andy in the chat. Rock will draw number 28 at the Rumble and win after being in there for 5 minutes.
That would be great. That would be great, right? Like that would just tug on everybody's hearts and really piss a lot of people off.
If that music hits and
smoke,
oh boy,
what The Rock boom boom is cooking, bro. That pop is gonna get so loud, crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's not the only Rock story that we got this weekend. So, Jeremy, remember that whole beef that The Rock has with Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
In an interview that he talked about that, where he said that Dwayne does not want to work on camera with Vin Diesel. They just both have different philosophies on how they approach acting and making movies. And over the weekend, one Vin Diesel sent out a post on Instagram and said that Dwayne must fulfill his role on the last movie of Fast 10 to close out the series.
Is this really going to be the last movie? Is this really going to be the last movie?
They're probably going to make 10 more, Jeremy.
Come on. This ain't the last movie.
But this is supposed to be the last one, and that there's nobody else on planet Earth that can play Hobbs than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Man, imagine if you got Cena and Rock in that crew, man. That's going to be a hell of a movie for wrestling fans. I think I'm sure they're gonna bury the hatchet. I don't know what kind of hatchet it was, even if it was that big
Money
of a
talks,
beef.
bro.
I don't think it was that big of a beef, but you never know. And you almost have to have The Rock for Fast 10, don't you think? I mean, it only makes sense.
There's only one person that can play Luke Hobbs, and his name is Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
I do want another Hobbs and Shaw movie though too, because that was a great movie with
that was
him and
fun.
Statham.
That was a fun movie.
I like that
but
one.
guys, sound off in the comments. Let us know what you think of all this crazy Rock news. Is he going to face Roman? Is he going to be at WrestleMania? Will he be in Fast 10 with Vin Diesel? Who knows? Sound off in the comments. Let us know what you think. And while you're sounding off in the comments, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Engage with the show and smash that notification bell. We got tons of content dropping on the daily tonight. We got Legion of Raw with Vince Russo, bro, and Dr. Chris Featherstone. Wednesday nights, you got me, Enrico El Glorioso, covering the debrief on AEW and NXT. And Friday nights, we got Dirty Dutch Mantel, Rick Cucino, and SP3 talking smack on Smack Talk with SmackDown and AEW Rampage. So we got tons of stuff. And then the Daily Top Story every afternoon right here with you guys. So let's jump into our second story here. Tony Khan discusses the recent releases by WWE. If you guys remember, Friday afternoon was a very busy day for us, or busy afternoon, I should say, busy evening here at Sportskeeda Wrestling. While the story broke in the middle of the top story, we were covering the names as they were getting released and being unveiled. A total of 18 superstars were let go on Friday. It hit the wrestling world like a sack of bricks on your chest. Everybody felt it. There's a lot of superstars have already commented on it. But now we get to hear from Tony Khan, the president of AEW, had an interview today with Wade Killer of Pro Wrestling Torch. What did good old Uncle Tony have to say?
Tony said every time they cut 20 people, let's just say it's terrible because every time someone loses a job, it's affecting them and the people around them. Some of these people might have wanted to leave, but in general, most probably did not. It's terrible when anyone loses their work, and I feel for them. Each and every one counts. I'm going to take a ballpark number, and I'm not trying to make light of everything, but everyone counts, and this is probably not the exact amount, but every time they let go, say 20 people, I think there may have been in general 1, 2, or 3 people in there that I'm interested in snatching up. They keep doing these mass layoffs, and each time I find a few people, and the company gets a little stronger and stronger. I do see a few in this wave. I don't want to say who or when I would be interested in them, but there are a few interesting people they let go, and same goes with the last wave and the wave before that and before that. Each wave, there are a few interesting ones, and this was no exception. Obviously, Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, Mia Yim, those are going to Ember Moon, Nia Jax, and going back to The Rock. I mean, what do you think are his thoughts on Nia getting released? You think he maybe is upset with WWE a little bit on that?
I don't know. He's a businessman too. So he probably feels for Nia, right? Because that's family. That's part of his of the Anoa'i family branch, right? But he's a businessman, and he probably understands what WWE is from that standpoint. But I'm also sure he can sympathize as a performer because at one point The Rock was going to be fired before he got red hot. Back when he was Rocky Maivia, there was a point there where they were like, "We're going to can you if you can't get any better." So I can't speculate or speak on behalf of Dwayne, but what I can say that being that he works on both sides of the aisle, I'm sure that he can sympathize with both sides.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting. I mean, most of them have a 90-day no compete. I think Scarlett is the only one I've heard that had a 30. I don't know if have you heard of anybody else that had a 30?
No, I haven't heard anyone that had any 30 or 60s. The only 30 ones are the ones from NXT that I've heard. But everybody else has 90s.
But even
go ahead.
Lorcan had a 90 though too. So
really?
Yeah, he said that. I think he said that on his YouTube channel that he's got a 90-day no compete.
Wow, that's kind of unexpected. What's actually kind of surprising to me, because you had mentioned last week when we were talking about BFAB when she was released that she had just signed a deal.
Yeah,
it was like the day before or the same day or something like that. I thought it was, and man, if she wouldn't have signed that deal, She probably would have still been with that NXT contract and would have been out 30 days. All of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. It is weird. It was weird watching Hit Row without her this week too, man. It was just.
It really was. And it was so weird hearing the intro music without her vocals on it. I think that's what's so iconic. Well, at least not, I want to say iconic, but what's really catchy about that song, boom, that first bar, Hit Row.
And even and even when they're doing promos backstage and she's saying it too, you know, there were spots where you're during that whole thing with Sammy, you could tell, oh, we would have had this spot with BFAB, but she's not there anymore now. And Richard in the chat, who do you think AEW will pick up first? I think it's going to probably be down to Karrion Kross and Keith Lee.
Yeah, I agree. Keith Lee's already got a booked appearance on February 3rd. He's going to be doing something in Baltimore. But Keith Lee, man, Keith Lee has a history with a lot of guys in AEW. And I think the crowd will appreciate him. And I think he'll probably get treated a lot better in AEW than he did in the main roster.
Yeah, definitely.
In WWE. Because he was treated really well in NXT. Treated like royalty. It was just when he made that jump over to the main roster, man, just killed him. Literally almost killed him.
I could see Blake Christian going to AEW or going back to Impact. He was in Impact for a very short time before he signed his NXT deal as Trey Baxter. So I could see him going to either one. You know, Impact's going to pick up a few of these. And it's just crazy how Ring of Honor now is going on a hiatus just as all these people are coming free. Some could wrestle Final Battle, though, if they've got the 30-day. If they've got the 90-day, obviously they won't be able to wrestle at ROH. But some will probably show up in GCW as well. Trey Baxter has already been confirmed to appear at a show here coming up soon, too. So lots of options, especially with the rise of GCW. Lots of options for these guys going forward. Unfortunately, Ring of Honor not being one of them.
Yeah, man. It's a tricky situation with everyone involved. And I did read a comment a little bit earlier. What if Sinclair Broadcasting just pumps, because they have money? Well, I know they're what, 20 million in debt? Or was it 12 million in debt?
Yeah, I can't remember the number,
Something
but it
like
was
that.
A lot. I thought it was in the billions, but maybe I'm wrong.
Was it billions? Yeah, I thought it was like something ridiculous too, right?
Yeah.
But someone was like, oh, well, what if Sinclair Broadcasting pumps money into ROH? And bro, they can't afford any of those names on that release list right now.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's just my opinion, though. Would it be cool? Absolutely. Don't know if it happens. All right, man, let's jump into our last story of the night here. Guys, so we see it every single day here in the top story in the chat. The big tribalism, WWE, AEW. I hate WWE. We see it every single day, and we try to do our very best to be as objective and neutral as possible, because at the end of the day, guys, we're all the winners here because we're the ones consuming all this wrestling, right? And we are fortunate enough to bring everything, all the results, anything that's going on in the world of wrestling to you. But today, we had an interesting take from one WCW legend, Konnan. Konnan, one of my favorite wrestlers back in the day. Arriba la raza. That was my guy. Wolfpack for life. Love Konnan. He has his own podcast. He has his own show, Keeping It 100. And today he had a comment between Roman Reigns and CM Punk. And this was a very interesting take. And just to kind of quote, he says, basically kind of discussing on who has more influence in the business, Konnan or Punk. And he says, I think that for one night or 1 month, CM Punk was. Then he continues, for the whole year, what Roman has been able to do, increase ratings, increase buzz, maintain a great storyline for over a year with different guys, get an aura about him that only The Rock's probably going to defeat. I think he's been way more influential. End quote. To a lot of AEW fans, that's going to be very controversial. But what's your take on this, Jeremy? Because I think this is Konnan's appeared on AEW. Konnan has worked with Santana and Ortiz on AEW. So I like that he's being objective on what he's seeing. But do you agree with that assessment?
Well, it's too early to tell. We haven't really had anything concrete with CM Punk yet in terms of a feud. We've just had little things that lead up to matches. So I think it's too early to really tell, because you've got the body of work of Roman Reigns that he's laid out for over a year now, almost 2 years now, of being the tribal chief. And so you've got that. Has it really increased ratings? I don't know. Looking at the numbers, I mean, SmackDown has fallen below 2 million a few times. It's not necessarily saying that he's driven the ratings for Fox. Increasing buzz, yeah, and maintaining a great storyline, that is true as well, because it's been one of the best told stories that WWE's done, where they basically suck at long-term storytelling. They've actually done a good job with this one, probably a lot in part due to Paul Heyman. I'm guessing Paul has a lot of input into that, and that's why this story has kind of stood out from whatever has happened with, other stories in WWE, and how they just really can't get a good long-term story going with anybody. But it's too soon to tell with CM Punk. The story is just beginning with him. So you can't really compare the two right now.
I think that's actually a really good assessment. We've only had Punk back in the business since September. All right. So it's been 2 months going on 3. And you're right. He hasn't had any major feuds. He had some good matches, but he hasn't had like a straight up long feud with anyone to be like, oh, wow, he's moving the needle, or, doing that. But the same thing you can say about Roman Reigns. They've really just been establishing who he is as this new persona of the tribal chief, the head of the table. And you're absolutely right. Paul Heyman has a lot to do with that. And I think that's one of the reasons why it has been successful for Roman. But I think we'll see what will happen once CM Punk is in that title contention, and when he has a legit storyline where he's actually chasing the title. I think that's where we're gonna see a little bit more captivating stories from CM Punk. But I think you're right. I think right now, to make an assessment on who's more influential, I think it's a little bit early right now.
Yeah, but man, that stuff with Punk and Eddie last week was just tremendous.
It was great. It was really great. I watched it today because I haven't had a chance to catch up on any wrestling over the weekend, but I just watched it earlier today, and it was a great promo. I absolutely loved it.
Man, I mean, I don't, and I don't know if they have any plans for after Full Gear. Probably not, but if they could stretch that feud out, that could turn into something great, because that promo last week on Friday was just tremendous. Jose got a question in the chat here from Victor. Who's your pick between Miro and Bryan this Saturday at Full Gear?
Oh man, this is a really tough one. I love both of these guys, but I'm really behind Miro. As much as I love Daniel Bryan, I'm really behind Miro. There's probably going to be a lot of people that are going to be against me. They'll be like, how can you pick Miro over Bryan? This is just my personal choice. I absolutely love what Miro has been doing, and I'm very upset of the treatment that he's been getting lately over the last few months. I'm glad that he got put in that tournament. Unfortunately, for who was the guy that got taken out of that tournament? John Moxley. Because unfortunately for Mox, he couldn't compete because of the stuff that he's going through personally. Yeah. But this is Miro's opportunity to capitalize. I'm just hoping he's able to capitalize. That's all I'm hoping.
Yeah, I don't know. My gut was Daniel Bryan, but Bryan Danielson, but when I go to do my podcast on Wednesday, I don't know, because it doesn't really make sense to put Danielson up against Hangman, because I expect Hangman to win. I mean, the story's been told for about a year and a half now that it almost has to be Hangman winning the title here. While it would be a great match, it just doesn't fit. So I honestly thought Mox was going to win that tournament, because he's kind of turning heel as it is anyways. So I thought that was going to be a great fit. So now the more I think about it, the more I think they're going to put Miro in that situation. I don't think he's going to beat Page, at least not right away, because I don't think that they want to make Page a transitional champion. They've been telling this story for too long to make him a transitional champion. But I do think Miro is going to beat Danielson on Saturday.
We'll see, man. It's going to be a history-making pay-per-view. It should be good. Any early predictions to anyone who might show up on Saturday?
Somebody's 90-day no-compete is just burnt up at the end of the month. Mr. Wyndham. So that's obviously out there.
He has been putting some cryptic tweets out as of late.
I still feel that Strowman's going to Impact, but you never know. I do think Wyndham's going to AEW though. So, man, and well, I guess he's not out of contract yet, but man, it'd be kind of cool to see Brody King align with the House of Black, because of course he's PWG tag champions with Malachi Black right now. That probably won't happen until Revolution. But I expect Brody King probably to come over to AEW sometime down the road too. I gotta say it's got to be Wyndham at this point. I don't know what else I don't know what else they gave. I don't even know who else is out there, to be honest, right now. But
I mean, Wyndham would be cool. I just really don't see it anytime soon right now. As far as a big name, I mean, I always want to put like Braun. I think Braun would be a good fit, but will he be there though? It's like this is one of the things. Maybe we don't get any big debuts at Revolution, So, and I'm okay with that, because that way we can focus on what's going on with the actual match and the tournament and all that stuff. So I don't know. It's anybody's guess, but we are definitely going to have a lot of coverage this weekend for AEW's Full Gear pay-per-view. We're going to have our post-show Saturday night. We're going to have predictions earlier in the week. So the only way you can get all that info, guys, you have to subscribe to the Sportskeeda channel. It's the only way you got to do it. You do that, you smash that notification bell, and that way whenever we drop brand new content. Tonight, immediately after Raw, we got Legion of Raw with Dr. Chris Featherstone and Vince Russo, bro. And Wednesday night, we got the debrief, myself and Rico. That's immediately after AEW Dynamite. And then on Friday nights, we got Smack Talk with Dirty Dutch Mantel, Rick Cucino, and SP3 covering SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Guys, you can follow me at Jose G Official on the Instagram and on the Twitter. You can also follow Recons of Wrestling. We have a great show last week with the main event guys from Pro Wrestling Action. They had a great show this weekend, Rise of the Titans. Go ahead and check that out. I have a great interview with both Chacha Charlie and the mother lover Jake Tucker. Go ahead and check that out right now. Jeremy, what you got going on in the Lost of the Mid-Card?
Lost in the Mid-Card. We will be at you on Thursday early evening with Matt and myself. We will predict the Full Gear card and, of course, talk about all the top stories that have happened out throughout the week. We took last week off because I was sick, but we'll be back with that Full Gear prediction show. Search for Lost in the Mid-Card. Make sure you select the new feed option if you're doing the podcast, or if you're on the YouTube. Give us a subscribe, hit that bell, and that way you know when we drop a new show on Thursday for you.
Bro, great. Go ahead and do that, guys. Follow Jeremy, follow myself, show the support, and follow Sportskeeda Wrestling, because remember, when you're watching wrestling, you got to do the most important thing, which is what, Jeremy?
Enjoy wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me talk to you.